My name's Becker. I'm from Leeds University. I'm a Learning Systems Advisor, which is basically a TEL advisor. And my presentation is going to look at a very specific project within the university called the Dean's Award, and designing and implementing faculty-based workbooks. So for those of the audience who don't know, have I got a clicker? Have I got a clicker? I'll just do this then. Who don't know Leeds University, we're based in Leeds, as Joy mentioned yesterday. Leeds and Bradford are about 100 miles north of here. We are an old university in the sense that we've been in tertiary education for 100 years, but we've only been classed as a university since 1992. We have a rather mixture of iconic buildings. The first one is our James Graham building, which dates from 1911, and the Rose Bowl at the bottom, which dates from 2005. We have 29,000 students, approximately 3,000 staff, of which 1,500 are academics, and we're based at 2 sites. So the older building is about 3 miles north of the newer building, which is in the city centre. And our most famous alumni at the moment is Alistair Brownlee, who won gold at the Rio Olympics, and his brother Johnny, who got silver this time. Alistair is a master's sports graduate, and his brother, I think, went to Leeds Uni. So just a bit of history about Leeds Beckett and PebblePad. It came in around 2010-11. It was before my time, so I'm not actually sure of the dates. And we had Classic, and we went to 5,000 licenses. We had a very, very difficult introduction, and we were in pilot, and I'm afraid it was a pilot, for 2 years. I can't even say it was phased implementation because it just wasn't. And when just shortly before I arrived at the university, they were running dual platform, which was Classic and V3. The original researchers who were on the Classic environment were left on the Classic environment. So eventually, though, we were in production, and in 2014-15 we migrated all our users onto the V3 platform, and we bought an extra 1,000 licenses and the Turnitin. So we now have all of that. And because we like to run dual platform, we're running dual platform again. Makes my life very interesting. So we have V3 and V5, and as of this year, our users in our health faculty are moving their level 4, their first and second years, over onto V5. And in fact, they have been running live since about 2 weeks ago. So far, fingers crossed. So what is the Dean's Prize? Well, the Dean's Prize is an award made to graduates as they finish there and walk away from the university. There are 4 faculties within the university. Each faculty awards a number of prizes. I was checking some details last night, and our arts faculty awarded 63 Dean's Prizes at this year's graduation ceremony. They are usually for highest academic achievement or for most progression. So one of the award winners this year was running around about 54% across his first 2 years, and in his last year he really pulled his finger out and he scored over 85%. And he won the Dean's Award for simply progressing. So it's not about those brilliant students who then do brilliantly. It's about looking at students who progress well and who perform well. In 2013 and 15, employability within the university was embedded into courses or modules. I will use that term interchangeably, they do mean the same thing. Using a module called a personal development plan. I'm sure some other universities have come across those. It was embedded as part of their course, so co-curricular. But in 2015, a move was made by the university to abandon all of that. So it was just simply abandoned. So employability was seen as something that shouldn't be in the curriculum. It was seen as something that the students just naturally did. But There is a new move to embed employability within the faculties and schools of the university, and it started with Deb. In 2015, we ran an internal conference within the university for all our academic staff. It's a teaching and learning specific conference, and I invited Deb along to come and showcase e-portfolios. She came, and sitting in the audience that day was our Associate Director for Employability. He saw the presentations and he loved it. So what happened was the Associate Director started to have conversations with deans and faculties and said, what do you want to do about your employability? And they said, okay, show us something we can use. And he said, well, I think I know somebody who could tell us about PebblePad and what it can do. So he started to talk to two schools, in this case a faculty of business and law. One of our biggest faculties, 8,000 students, 3 schools, known as a technology adopter and with good employer engagement and high levels of graduate employment. And he asked his careers consultants to look at identify another area in the university that would benefit from this sort of work. And he identified a school in another one of our faculties called Arts, Environment and Technology, where we have 10,500 students and 5 schools. And in that school is the School of Cultural Humanities and Cultural Studies and Humanities, with about 3,000 students in it. These are principally the students who do English, history, and those types of humanities subjects. Now, I just altered my slides slightly last night after Gregor's fantastic keynote. Very much our Faculty of Business and Law is very work philosophy orientated. They do competitions with external employers. They have employers come in. Our students do placements with employers. They have massive graduate employment from our faculty. Very much that. But the students don't really know how to reflect. Our art students, our School of Cultural Studies, obviously completely the opposite. They are the thinkers. But they then go, but I don't know how I'm going to transfer my skills. Lowest graduate employment within the university of this particular school. So we've got 2 very different approaches. So the aims of the project were basically to develop the employability skills alongside the academic skills of our students to enhance their learning experience and their employment aspirations. Tracy said this morning she didn't like the word soft skills. I agree, but it is a way to describe those skills, teamworking, etc. But it's combining those soft skills with academic skills and engagement to encourage skill development through reflection, especially for your cultural studies students. I've got this skill, what does it actually mean in the wider world? So we looked at developing a co-curricular activity continuously supported by careers consultants and the academic staff. And the rewards are offered for progression and achievement, and some of them are very tangible rewards. The project team was very much led by the Associate Director and the Dean of the faculties. We had buy-in from the top, which is probably very unusual. PebblePad in itself in the university has not had this support. This is quite unusual for us as well. Then the senior career consultants, me as a learning systems advisor, and an academic lead. So we were trying to engage with those people who would have responsibility for looking after the students who were going to undertake this work. The teams were actually set up by August 2015, and the pilot launch was March 2016. And then meetings, design development, text, meetings about design development and text, meetings, lots of meetings, and academic consultants, meetings, My Career, which is a tool we use, lots of meetings. We came up with an end product. We do have an end product. There was a common design theme that came out of all the meetings. One of which is PebblePad is seen in the institution as a separate system. The students who use it generally are okay, but the question they come up with is, why do I have to learn something new? We took the approach, if we embedded it within the institutional VLE, within a module within that VLE, they log in every day to the VLE. They see that as something that they can interact with. So we created a VLE module for each award. The students self-enroll on it, trying to keep the administrative overload down. These schools are big, 3,000 students, 8,000 students, that's 11 by my maths this morning. That's a lot of administration to manually enrol these students onto modules and workspaces. So a manual enrol onto the module, so that's their first touch point. Something they're really familiar with. Their second touch point, which they might not be so familiar with, is to actually put the LTI link into the Blackboard module. It's a single sign-on. They log into the VLE, go straight to the PebblePad link, log into the PebblePad. No extra login, don't have to remember a website that they're supposed to go to. It's all there. Plus we can put any guidance materials, any videos, all of that material can sit within the module. It feels like a module. Then the other added was we get them to enrol on the workspace. So they go from one to the other. And they collect the guidance from the module about how to go and collect the resource. The academic staff and the career consultants will all be manually enrolled onto the workspace because they're the guys who are going to do all the next stage of the process. And they are going to act as approvers. We're running an approval system, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute, and mentors, especially the careers consultants. They're acting as mentors. So, the first approach, this is the business and law. I'll show you the example in a minute so you can have a visual see of it as well. It's a nested workbook. There are 3 levels of achievement for business and law: bronze, silver and gold. They're not applied to levels, so it's not like a bronze is a first year or level 4. It's just once you achieve bronze, you could be midway through your first year because maybe you've spent the last 5 years working. So you'll very quickly get to that point. It's not about where you are in your course, it's where you are in your employability skills. So each award has a specific set of 5 buckets, which is a horrible name, but that's what they've decided to call it. 5 buckets, looking at different parts of the curriculum. So soft skills, personal development skills, social action and volunteering. So we ask our students to get involved in volunteering from the get-go, and they're supposed to then be able to report back on that. Work experience and preparation, so they can choose anything that they, if they've worked before, they can use that as experience. If they've had a part-time job or a full-time job in a gap year before they've come, they can use all of that information. They're supposed to be able to pull it all in. And their academic skills, which I think in this case is particularly unusual. So we look at taking something like go and do a learning styles analysis and tell us how you learn. Find out how you learn, and then reflect back on why it is you learn like that. What else is it you could do to help yourself learn? But the tasks within each skill, or within each bucket, are called essential. So these are the things we think students should have by the time they've finished their degree with us. And there's a stretch, which means if you want to take it to an extra level, have a go at these exercises as well. And if you're at the extra level and you do all these extra stretch activities, maybe you have a chance of winning a fantastic prize at the end of it. But not to overwhelm students with information, we just show them one level at once. So in this business and law case, it's just we show them bronze. So they can be working through bronze. When they finish that, the tutors will go in, have a look at it, make sure that they've achieved the award, make sure that they're working in the right direction, and approve it, and then the approval process will release the next award. And then at the end, when they finish gold, the dean is advised that there are so many students who've completed the award, and approval process goes through, and basically they get a dean's page, and the dean comments on the work and then offers them a badge to apply to their portfolio. The idea being is that they will put their portfolio against their LinkedIn accounts, and therefore they've got a record to show their progression through their course. This is the, I've only got a few minutes, so I'll try and, this is the live version of the award. It is in V3 at the moment. There are just a couple of things I wanted to show you, one of which is in here. Oop. So there's various, all within the skills you can see that there are various levels of things to do. It's very much scaffolded with lots of advice, although it's quite minimal in this particular workbook for the business and law. Cultural studies, low graduate employment, low understanding of their marketable key skills, and that's the big difference. Is that the students do not understand that when they've written an essay and they've used a computer to do that, that they have some IT skills. They just don't seem to be able to comprehend the difference between that is a transferable skill. Again, PebblePad nested workbooks, but now we've called it Plan, Engage and Achieve. It's not branded. The students own it. And there's no academic skills element to the award. These students have academic skills. They write essays, they do things that they need to do, but they just miss out on the fact that they understand what transferable skills they've got. Very different look and feel. Again, you see the plan, and here, if I just click on, in this particular workbook, there's a lot more guidance about what is a skill and what it means to the student. It worked this morning. I'll move on. If anybody wants to have a look at it afterwards, please come up and see me. Monitoring success. Potential students 11,000. Project duration was for 3 years over the course of from level 4 to level 6. And we can use some numerical values and empirical. So there's an idea of getting students back in, there's a feedback form that goes out, and have a follow-up to a focus group. Now I marked in red earlier that our planned launch date was March 2016. Unfortunately, things didn't quite go to plan. We identified the students for the pilot. The deadline for March was postponed to June, and we lost our academic lead in June. In cultural studies, they decided to postpone it. They had difficulty in finding the design and the text. We couldn't get them to make a decision. They wanted to design it themselves, which was a really bad move. And then never ever appoint a new VC in the middle of a process like this, who then reshapes the faculties and puts them all into schools. So we've had a bit of a challenge, I think. However, the future does look a bit brighter. The Dean of the Business School, as now called, is on board. We are redeveloping the workbook in version 5 and launching to first years in second semester. Woo! They want to incorporate a lot more media elements to it, so the Dean wants to do a heads up and says, you know, this is why I want you to do this. Great for buy-in again with the students. And we have our first results expected in the summer of 2017. With cultural studies, I need to revisit that with the team. We've lost some impetus there. And we're going to include digital badges, I think, as a way of assigning a skill to the students to say, you go, get this badge, you've achieved this, to give it a bit more visual content for them. And so that's kind of it. So small steps along the way. Thank you.